with Professor Yalman from Radio TED University, Ankara Studios. Welcome to a new episode. Yes, it's a harsh title, the one I have today, which is you're either pregnant or not pregnant. There's no anything or such thing such as half pregnancy. Imagine me doing this program in between of languages. Başladım işte yarı gebelik yoktur. And then I start continuing in English and saying in things like in between, gray areas. Indecisiveness is not applauded by the system. If I was to continue like this, if I were to continue like the entire episode like this, you would be devastated because your mind would be in a clumsy situation or state of being as such as mine, and my train of thought and logic I would sort of fail in terms of structuring what I want to deliver to you about this topic today. Yeah, what is actually the main idea behind this topic? As far as I'm concerned, there are no gray areas, and as soon as you start talking about gray areas, the system and the energy is blocked. Like, let's say you're kite surfing and you want to do a stunt or a trick, a back loop, for example, or you want to sort of do a down loop, or you want to jump and then do a transition. If you're indecisive in what you're doing, you will fall down, and you will fall down in a very harsh way. And if you're like on a motorbike and you're indecisive in terms of how you're going to be leaning to what side in a turn, in a curve, you'll fall down. And, there will be a deadly injury or a crash. I am a bit harsh in these things, but, whenever I hear something in between, middle, whatever, I sense chaos. For example, there is either east or west, okay? Or there are no directions, If you're in the middle, like the Middle East, how does Middle East sound? Chaos, war, ideas or belief systems not being in harmony since centuries. Something when it's in the middle, there is a debate, and if there's a debate, the approach is not precise and concise, there's failure. So, you might say, about there are things in life where you have to have rounded edges. Rounded edges is for people who are procrastinating. Well, let me give you another example. Doing something with effort or something happening to you in a very effortless environment or state of being. That's fine. There's nothing in between that. You might show some effort and that thing might come to you, or you might not achieve it or conclude it. But, when you're sitting there effortlessly and not doing anything for that thing, it might just happen. Now, the state of the idea is very important, because either or with the effort or the effortlessness, if you are thinking of things like skeptic results, like, it might not happen, how is this going to happen? Or if you're sitting there effortlessly there and saying, I feel guilty being effortless, that thing is not going to happen, because again, you're in between things. You're not letting go. You're not surrendering to that effortless state of being. So I think there is no applause for indecisiveness in anything you do, and I think mostly sports prove that to us. Like if an ice skater is doing a double axel and right in between the movement, she or he thinks, oh my God, what if I land and break my leg and whatever? If there's this indecisive invitation, actually, if there's this indecisiveness and a very decisive invitation to something bad happening, it will happen. So I think progress requires decisiveness, and progress requires not being in the middle, not being like being in the state of in the state of being where I can't care less, I can't care more, but in reality you care. So there's indecisiveness in there as well. Same thing with relationships. You're loving somebody and that person says, I need some time and I need some time to sort of solve things in my end, whatever. No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit, because if that person likes you, that person likes you. It's not going to happen like you wait for that person 11 months and then she's going to or he's going to come up to you and say, oh, you know what? I found out that I like you or I love you. No. If you like somebody, you like somebody. If you don't like somebody, you don't like somebody. And if you need time for you to sort of operate on you, then you have that time. But, buying time is wrong for yourself or for that other person. So I think because if you love somebody or like somebody or you're attracted to somebody, you will play with time and make that time happen for that person. You won't go in between lines where you are sort of procrastinating in the process of whatever is happening. Same thing for looking for a job. If you have this idea of not finding a job or because of your ethnicity or university or capability, whatever, you won't find that job, because there's indecisiveness of feeling and the energy is not going to flow there. Or let's say you are in an internship and you're like, in that big company, but if they see you indecisive in your will of progress, eagerness of expanding, and eagerness of or the enthusiasm of doing anything possible to be there and climb the ladder, of course, within your ethical values, then the system is going to work for you and there's no indecisiveness. I have students in the past where they were so indecisive of what they want to do with their lives and it didn't work out. They couldn't even find internships because there's no progress in the gray area. Or when I look at countries, for example, we're this or that. We're pro this, we're con this, and we're in between. Look at us like this. But, these are mind games, these are word games, and I think those countries are jeopardizing also their place on the map in terms of being successful, in terms of being wanted, in terms of being part of that powerful group that they want to be included in. In history as well, whoever was very decisive was very successful, and whoever was very indecisive within even that spectrum of approach to doing great things has gone down the drain. Yeah, you might come and say, everything has an expiration date. Yes, it does. But being indecisive has nothing to do with that. Being indecisive is like settling down for something mediocre, like medium, size medium. You either wear small, you either wear large, medium. I think medium. Why medium, I have this problem with this midpoint status that people settle down for because they don't know, or they don't have the guts to sort of go through the consequences of their decisions. So be decisive and take the decision. Be it if you're a country, if you are a believer, non-believer. There's nothing like, I believe in God, but I don't believe in religions. Come on, God is trying to tell you things through religions, be it Buddhism, be it monotheistic religions, whatever. So there's a synthesis for you to understand God in that spectrum. So in between, I don't think it works. You're not going to persuade yourself, and you're not going to be very much restful in that restlessness of duality. Yeah, there's this duality. Let me give you another example. Like learning a language. You're saying, you know what, I speak English, but I'm not very good in writing. Come on. Then you don't know that language, my friend. You don't. If you know a language, if you can speak a language, then you should be able to write in it. So don't even put it on your resume that you know that language. My level of English proficiency or German proficiency is this. Come on. Your proficiency is either there or not there. And if you want to be on one side, on the plus side, then you have to sort of work for it to make it, at a level where you speak it, you guide it, you write it, and you communicate in it. etc. Imagine you're in a toilet, and you're dumping something, I don't want to be very, articulate here, but, and you're indecisive whether you should do it or not, or something is bugging you. The environment is cold, or the toilet is not clean, or you're in this urgency to reach a plane, whatever. That thing is not going to happen. Even though you have this urge, that thing is not going to happen. And you will be there stuck with an ill feeling. So, I don't know. I mean, it's the end of the year, the school year. We are approaching June, and there will be our finals. But you know what? I think your takeaway from this year should be decisiveness. Don't be in the middle. Just be decisive in terms of your approach. Because that's why AI is more successful than you. Then the artificial intelligence has no room for unclear things. And even if something is very unclear, it asks you for clarity to actually. Same thing with your brain. Same thing with your motor coordination system. Same thing with your nervous system. Same thing with your heart. If you are decisive, you will hear that voice of that heart, whatever that sentence is telling you. But if you're undecisive, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen where you want to do a handstand in yoga, and if you're indecisive, you fall down because this scarcity of balance is not going to be there. Look, balance also requires a decisive action. Medium or the midpoint or middle is not balance. Balance is choosing. Choosing to do, choosing to be, choosing to let go, choosing to deliver, or choosing not to approach. So don't kill other people's time, and most importantly, your time. Because whenever there is this diminishing act of scarcity of time, okay, then the sense of urgency kicks in. And the sense of urgency, when it kicks in, then sometimes the requirement of decisions also kicks in. So even though if you're going to decide on against that thing, you decide. And there's no mediocrity there. Okay? So in a way, when you're scarce in time, then your time of doing something gets larger. Somehow. There is discrepancy and a juxtapose there, yes. But again, mixing other languages into this program right now is confusing you because you don't understand. It's the same thing. Your brain doesn't understand your indecisive state of being. Just that. So areas and, wanting to do something or not sort of acting upon it, thinking about the pros and cons, and no. Be decisive. Either just have a very, very precise way of your decision-making system work, or just go for flipping the coin and make the system decide for you, heads or tails. And apply the decision. Apply the decision. Yeah. And don't do that to yourself. Life is too beautiful. Maybe too beautiful to procrastinate in the indecisive areas of time where we kill the most beautiful moments for nothing. Some person said, health is everything. No. Yes, health is everything, but, I agree that the state of being healthy is important, but, being indecisive is also very unhealthy. Being indecisive is also being very unhealthy because you are destroying your time. So don't do that. Make sure you applaud your decisions or even the capability of taking a brave decision. Just decide, act upon it, and then in a very exciting way, let's see what the consequences are going to be, and as if you were watching a movie, if you will. In and Out with Professor Yalman from Radio Ted U Studios. We are going through a very indecisive May, where the weather still is trying to make up its mind whether it should be more summer or more winter. You know, that's also a very indecisive action. That's why I don't applaud spring or autumn, because like there's this come and goes of the season or seasonality where it can't decide whether it should warm up or get colder. Yeah, maybe I am a black and white person, but my experiences also in companies who have done scenario planning and forecasting via scenarios. Again, even those should have decisive parameters, decisive parameters of action. In and Out with Professor Yalman from Radio Ted U Ankara Studios. Don't make anything become your expectations, and don't leave your life or lead a life in indecisiveness. Don't be in the middle. Be what you want to be. Step in and act upon, or let go and don't feel guilty upon your decisions. But don't be indecisive. Because in that restless moment of that indecisive moments, you'll see your life go by, and when you come to an age, you will be really saying nasty things to yourself for your past. I wish you a wonderful summer vacation. I hope this summer your decisive moments are more than your indecisive moments. And make sure you applaud with your decisions the process, not the results, because the results will come. In and Out with Professor Yalman from Radio Ted U, TED University Ankara Studios. A big thank you to the entire Radio Ted U team for this semester and all the episodes that we have done, and also to our guests. I'll see you fall 2026 again in our programs, which are actually expanding to more than 25 countries right now. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for supporting us. Keep well, be decisive, and make sure you don't make anything become your expectations. Alamba.